Hi, this is your boy Terry. My username across the internet is surpassing Google, and I am a legitimate illiterate. And in this very video, I just want to discuss a very interesting subject. When I'm discussing this subject, I'm not in there to show ideals or support ideals. It's just an interesting subject around which one can garner more evolution, and that's why I discuss this subject. In this video, I'm going to discuss, I'll just keep it short. For amongst the first time, I want to keep a video short. And I'm going to discuss an issue with Steem that is also an issue with the new Hive. This may be unknown to the general public, except we decide to shed some of our existing knowledge, apply real life insights. When next we're looking at the blockchain, look at it with layman eyes. This is something that we don't do much of because we look at it from the geeky side, from the code side. There's a limitation to the code you can create, limited by your perception, your experience, your mentality, your vision with regards to life, your vision with regards to predicting human behavior, your understanding of life and sorrow and happiness and the dynamics obtainable in the world, your insight into the true state of the world. Yes, you may be geek and you can code, but when you're coding something that involves a governance model, you need to have an understanding of life and humans. Regardless of the code, it will host humans. Anyway, that aside, some things are very obvious when it comes to Steem, when it comes to Hive. Whether you're talking of the beauty of this blockchain technology or the weakness, the weak points of it. This insight is tangible, the insight of a legitimate illiterate, because anyway, let's not go there. The issue that is at hand is, let's just keep it real life. There's something that is, that occurs in real life that affects innovation, affects decision making, just affects many things. And I'll simplify it and say bearing your consequences. In other words, you can say taking responsibility, but it's best to say bearing your consequences because, taking responsibility doesn't have very deep context. It doesn't tell you of hassle, self-sacrifice, loss. So let's say bearing your consequences. This is something we don't do much of, even in real life. And it affects, blockchain down to its governance model, to the code, to decision making, whether it involves our unique decision making or, will affect the collective community using the Steem blockchain or the Hive blockchain. Now I'm going to relate the current Steem with the new Hive. And just to pinpoint this, the parallels, while we want to separate them, there is so much parallels. Anyway, so what am I saying? Bearing consequences. For example, in the face of the technology, we're given a button. It's the vote, up vote, and down vote button. While the easy route to take, when it comes to, the fancifulness of this technology is to play with the button. Someone, leaves you a troll looking comment or a hate comment. Next thing is to downvote. Sometimes the hate comment was triggered perhaps by your action. Question: will you bear the consequences? Let's say the resultant hate comment. Sometimes these comments may be extreme, but it's also a route to take where you decide to bear the consequences regardless of how grave. Will you do that, or will you immediately use what code offers us in terms of tools, the downvote button. Anyway, that aside, let's go in deeper. Recently Steem and Hive, there were issues that came about, which according to me are not issues. When things are expected, then they shouldn't constitute issues. And these things weren't issues in my case because I saw it coming. And these things are common, popular in real life. It may not be popular in your world, but there are other worlds where other dynamics, other tenets are obtainable. Considering that, where you want to make a blockchain, from the very outset, make it a tool to predict human behavior and a bid to govern it. That's already weakness. Because how much insight do you have about the world? How much do you know about the world and the variety of worlds that exist and the different tenets that guard or permeate these different worlds? So, what happened? Let's assume, let's forget names. We're talking of a stake-based model, especially the weakness or the governance layer of Steem. Now, we're not talking of the proof of brain layer. We're talking of the governance layer of Steem. You created a code. The dynamics there is entirely stake-based, and then vote is the action that is used to determine governance. Collective votes, but we're talking of static vote and stake-based. Now, this is the code that you have created. When consequences come, what is your approach? Do you acknowledge that there is room for evolution in this code? That is one option. It's an option that we can have exhausted or chosen to exhaust. Of course, there are other options, but this option falls in the category of bearing consequences. Now, when the consequences come, do we take ownership, bear the consequences in a bid to evolve the weaknesses, or do we go in the defensive, in retaliation mode, and then be blinded to the weaknesses that is obvious? Now, it's not necessary that this is a weakness. It may have been the style. That is what you want for your blockchain. That is acceptable, but are you ready to bear the consequences? What would have happened if we bore the consequences? For example, the next action to take is, someone has used the stake, bigger stake than the collective community. How is it possible that one man came and shake our community? If there's truly a community, are we going to bear the consequences, put in more skin in the game, buy stake, and usurp power from the other fellow? It's just one man. It's stake based. Well, you put it there. Isn't that what you put in code? Nothing wrong with that. Now, when the consequences come, do you admit that this is a weakness? But if it wasn't a weakness, then play by it. Show your skin in the game, empower the community, create a movement, and buy stake. If someone rides a Ferrari past me and splashes water on me, yes, it's possible for me to, fight back. But it's also possible for me to say, at my age, can't I have a Ferrari as well? And perhaps wait till I can get a Ferrari. Or, there are different routes to take. There's one of bearing the consequences. You created code that is static. The governance model is decided by static voting and stake-based. Now, where you bear the consequences, what does it lead to? Likely we buy stake. Then you can look at, if way matters, if this is the model that you want to play out, that is the vision within your dream, okay, then we keep playing with stake within the premise of what the code allows. That is nice. What do we learn from that? We learn how to propagate our community, make it a stronger community, rally people, combined stake, that is bearing consequences. It's a win in that regard. Otherwise, if you establish that there's a weakness there and there's probable need for evolving the code to where votes perhaps are not static, and where there's also a human factor, just like the proof of brain model of Steem. There's a lot to learn from that. There's a human factor there, even though it's stake based. Stake depletes, bringing the value of the human to the fore. The vote there is dynamic. It's always in your face. You care about this, and you check on it, unlike the witness vote. Vote is very weak when it comes to capturing context, capturing intention. You cannot say that someone votes, he's automatically supporting an ideal. You cannot be conclusive about that fact. If you cannot be conclusive based on vote analysis, then perhaps you need to add more dynamism to your vote, perhaps a poll, so that you can better capture capture intention, and then establish better parameters for governance level decision making. Now, of course, that is another route to take. If it's established that there's a weakness with the code, you bear the consequences, buy stake, rally the community, you usurp power. He's playing within the game. He didn't just pick up the stake, even though you say that it's someone else's stake. Speaking of that stake, even if it was promised, are we going to stay there till the stake feeds us till eternity? We're living in a crypto world. There's a lot to learn. There's a time the stake was 8 USD in price. This is not fiat money. Can't we also say that it has played its role over the course of the year? At the very least, they have shaped the dream. Put up SMT on testnet, tackled scalability, incited the creation of many projects. Hasn't that 70 million whatever played its role? And we all know that the 70 million in crypto world can be zero tomorrow. What if it was zero? It's cryptocurrency. Aren't we learning? What is the beauty of blockchain technology if after all these years we have not learned, we have not applied it as a tool to learn, to evolve from where we are, to try out new paradigms? If we're to come on blockchain and just replay all the paradigms we are familiar with in our limited perception of the painted world, because the world is painted. It's what is presented to us on media. That's not the real world. A painted world is not real. Now we have blockchain. Have we not evolved past where, we further remove value from human because of an ordinary blockchain to trample on each other because of a mishap that affected the code? Have we not evolved past that? Isn't blockchain not a more testimonially grand tool where used to return value to humans? Now, that said, bear the consequences. If it's admitted that there's a weakness in the code, buy stake. We're a large community. How long did we stay on Steem to hold on to what has been ours? An entire community versus one person. The route we took is reactionary. It's not one of leadership or direction. It's reactionary. Someone just brings a post out, do this, and everybody is shaking. Someone just leaves a tweet in the air and everybody is shaking. Why should we shake? If I left a tweet in the air, will you shake? No, because you may check my wallet size and it's 1,000 Steem that's there. Telling us that someone can sit for 1 month, create stimuli on the Steem blockchain, measure a reaction, and then create a stimuli that will overtake the blockchain at any time, because it is established that we're reactionary. Someone loses a witness vote from top 20 to top 21. How much do you lose in, say, the span of 1 week that you cannot bear? Next thing, you go on trending, you see a post from the person, you can predict that this person has made a post because he has left 20, position 20. Go on Steam MD and you will see that the person is in position 21. When we are so predictable, who are we? Where is identity? These are life paradigms that is so easy to see for a legitimate literacy, but we need to look at Steam with these eyes. Everybody has it. Forget the tech, forget code. These things are nothing. We just overly hype it. Yes, and not that it's nothing. I'm just saying that it is overly hyped. Code, we have built the code. How many years now? 4 years. What are we doing with this code? Till date, we are still focusing on code. If you look at SPS, created to fund development, mostly code. But how about the code that exists? Have we seen of its beauty? Have we explored its use? Have we exhausted its use? And it's so beautiful. I saw it from day one as a legitimate illiterate. I'm not illiterate, as a legitimate illiterate. If I can see these things, then you can see these things. But are we seeing these things, or are we looking for a perfect code? You know, we have the community feature. How much of it are we using? Why all the competition? If we collectively put investment in, say, 100 communities, put them at 1,000 subscribers at least, then let them be. Do you know how much impact, network effect that will bring about? Suddenly, everyone is owner. Because now they can compete. They have a feeling, a sense of ownership, a sense of feeling that they can compete. Because now they are at 1,000 subscribers. You know, at 0, when somebody is seeing one community is having 10,000 subscribers, he will retreat, especially on a stake-based platform. You know, the so-called decentralization, we hype it so much without understanding it deep to its context. Decentralization is grander than just code. Oh, it's on a decentralized server. Is that decentralization? It's grander than that. Why do people have to explain, oh, you have to give me my airdrop because this? How can we expect that on a blockchain and say, oh, it's decentralized? That's what you'll expect on Facebook, on YouTube. Explain yourself. Yes, it's a public ledger, but it also has an anonymity paradigm. Can't we see this? We who are geeks. You know, that someone can come with an anonymous account, never with the intention of talking at all. Perhaps never with the intention of engaging in governance. He's just there to play around, play with a button. Then you are concluded that, oh, this person is supporting a Justin Sun. And what is so wrong with that? Aren't you on Facebook? Aren't you on Twitter till today? You know, whoever, he didn't steal his money. You know, he bought the stake somewhere. You know, and where you say pre-mined, can't you leave past that? You know, it's supposed to be voluntary on blockchain, even where the person made promises. You know, how about other pre-mined people? Are they bashed for not volunteering their Steem? You know, and where have we not passed the stage where, you know, can't we forgive? What is in pre-mined state that is so much of an issue? You know, aren't we bigger than that already? You know, one of the uses of blockchain is as a tool to evolve in exercise our human virtues. You know, now when we do a soft fork, for example, you know, and consequences followed, we still have not learned from the first instance and bear our consequences. You know, so that is an issue with Steem, and it's lived on, and it showed in the making of Hive. You know, where Hive has learned, then it will do something too. It's very obvious that there is something wrong. Its focus will be on, you know, patching up those areas, listening to community more, and, you know, instead of, oh, Steem is bad. You are Steem. Stop all this. The way you started, you are Steem. That's it. And even if Steem has some flaws, do you just forget Steem? You know, without remembering its significance in your journey? Just the name Steem alone. Is this not easy to see? And well, you started on the premise that Steem is flawed. Steem is... How many blockchains have started on that premise? You no longer have a vision as a result because, oh, Steem did this, I will not do this. Your direction becomes predictable. Now I'm on Hive. I love Hive. But blockchain is grander to me than code. I care about humans the more. I want to be rendezvous where humans are rendezvousing. And blockchains like Steem and Hive, very special blockchain because they don't only rendezvous humans, they incite them to evolve. And that's very spiritual. So bearing consequences doesn't take anything, but it shows that we are not bearing consequences. And startup Hive, why are we so wary of humans? When the human becomes so, that, oh, this human is going to be spammer, this human is going to be... How do you know that? What are you weighing to establish that vote is very weak, very weak. You can't tell me that, oh, because I voted on Justin's son or I'm supporting his ideas. There's tons of reasons, especially on blockchain. Blockchain is unconventional. There are tons of reasons why I may vote on something. Doesn't mean I'm supporting governance or I want to have anything to do with it. And if I run a witness, can I not just want to have a copy of the code from my play time? When I started my witness, do you know the significance of that witness? It was happening when my mom was dying. I put it up there so that it stays up there and reads. Everyone has something to offer, just like an inspirational message to tell people that they can climb. Even though it didn't climb, even though I knew that it will not climb, because the world paradigms are replaying on blockchain all over again, where some nations are labeled developing, some nations are labeled third world, when in reality nations are merely locations. These things are very obvious to see when you use blockchain as a valuable tool to this effect, as CCTV into the truest state of the world. It's very beautiful what Steem or Hive constitutes. When are we going to see these things? I'm just talking because it's an interesting subject and I'm learning from it, and I'm evolving my dreams as a result. It's just very beautiful. And it further tells me that the world is very novice to the true state of the world. We hype all this knowledge, amassing knowledge, code knowledge and all that, but in the process we lose out on evolving other aspects of our human that is very tangible. Mentality. You may have all the geeky knowledge, but your mentality is very low, because so much hype is put into pursuit of knowledge, talents, luxury. But how about other virtues of human that exist and need evolution? Self-sacrifice, forgiveness, mentality, presence, spirit. That's why I took the route of emanating down to earth innovations. I learned a lot from Steem, from the current Hive. Everything is just so beautiful. Steem and Hive, so beautiful. If you talk decentralization, then you won't be in too much competition. Everybody is in an experimental mode when it comes to decentralization. Hive isn't centralized. It's an attempt at decentralization. Can there be full decentralization at all? When even a legitimate illiterate knows that man cannot rule man? Are we going to replay governance all over again on blockchain? Upholder of morality. Are you moral? Are you the epitome of morality? And when it comes to morality, isn't it grander than good or bad? Black or white? Isn't there gray? If you don't know of that in your world, it exists in the real world. So-called good may be bad underlyingly. Don't we know all these things by now? This is 2020 and I'm a legitimate illiterate. Literate know these things, but we need to look in that direction, apply more of our human. You know, we are created with a sense of justice, a sense of forgiveness, a sense of love. Where are all these attributes? You know, when you say someone's spam, then you go and dox him, or you go and put 100 GIFs of poop on his post. Can you blatantly say that he's a spammer anymore, or that he committed a crime? You know, when you are using a hammer to kill ants. You know, so that's why I'm not, you know, I don't bash anybody. You know, and that's why Steem cannot bash Hive. Hive cannot bash Steem. You don't have the resources to, you don't have the context to. Yes, it's a public blockchain, but you don't have the insight into, you know, the deep context. What is going on behind the scenes? Do you know? You know, can you blatantly say that, oh, Justin Sun put 20 servers that are his? Can you prove it? You will have a hassle doing so. And even when you prove it, are you a police or a judge? You know, even in the real world, even after people have proven something, they will need to go and report it to the authorities. You know, when did we become upholders of morality? I'm not on blockchain to prove my morality. I can be anonymous on blockchain. I want to have my space on it. You know, perhaps build my dream, play it out into reality, sandbox my dream. There are tons of reasons for being on blockchain as opposed to the mainstream platforms. You know, so why should I come and be expected to appeal to get, in my case, if you told me to appeal, that is already a turnoff. Why? Some people buy Steem just in a bid, just on the news of it alone. Oh, Steem is going to fork. Let me buy Steem, gather Steem, and so I can get equivalent in Hive. And doesn't want to have anything to do with governance, but in the process saw a post where everybody is shaking, oh, vote for this thing, or just decided to look at the witness votes and don't even know that one of the accounts is Justin Sun's, or don't even know anything about Justin Sun buying Steem. Yes, there are people like that. They voted and they didn't even know who is who among the witnesses. Will you penalize them and then say, oh, they have to appeal? Appeal to who? And you say community, you're talking stake-based. Did we learn from the proof of brain versus the weakness of the governance model when we were building the treasury fund? Looking at the treasury fund, we didn't learn much because we made that static as well and entirely stake-based. There's so much to learn from the proof of brain model of Steem. The dynamism of the vote there. Vote there carries more context, has more cost, has a reputation factor and other factor, you know, that keeps the value of a human intact to some extent. Did we learn from that? Now we made a treasury fund that can be held there, even if it wants to be held to ransom, that somebody can go put a return proposal fund there and just hold it to ransom. Now, are we going to bear the consequences and acknowledge that, oh, perhaps that's a weakness? Let's look at how to evolve this. Buy, stake, change, adjust the code, and then fix what is wrong. Or are we going to bash the person that the person is suddenly a centralizer? Can we control what others do? Is that the essence of blockchain, or the essence of our livelihood? Or to become the best versions of ourselves? Anyway, I'll stop here. I'm your boy Terry. Make sure to stay awesome. I'm running a witness on Steem and Hive. You don't know why, and I'm not expected to say why. You know, I may run whatever code is in existence if I decide to at this very stage. You know, I used to have all those fears, not exactly fears, but especially because I don't want to influence people in their decision making. But for once, looking at it, there's tons of reasons for why I'm on blockchain, and it's not conventional reasons. You know, so I'm not there to, it's a stake based, I'm there to use the beautiful aspects of it, and I acknowledge that it's stake based. I play with those within those parameters. When I don't have stake, the only thing I can do is rally people who have stake, and if I can't buy stake, now, what is wrong with waiting and enjoying the blockchain while I amass stake or buy stake in the future? What is there with using aspects of the blockchain to evolve aspects of my dream and continue in my evolution? You know, as long as I'm not a consensus witness, I can run a server. You know, that's the code that they want. So be it. They have stake. I don't see pre-mined stake anywhere. According to me, stake is stake. You know, according to me, you know, I can't buy stake. I stay in my lane, you know, till I can buy that Ferrari. I won't go beefing you because of, and I'm not entitled. I don't expect someone to feed me forever. They just need to give us triggers, and Steem has done enough of that. You know, the person that can have backed this dream, he is still Ned, regardless of his flaws. He's the owner of the dream. Nobody can back it as much as him. But we bash, people bash him. It's admirable that he waited till the formation of the dream before he went into relegation. It's really admirable. So I'm a legitimate illiterate overall. Where you want some information, some insight on your project, on any subject in the eyes of a legitimate illiterate, I'm willing to give you. Please leave me a message. I'll leave my email. Support my witness on Steem. It's called Surpassing Google. Support my witness on Hive. It's called Steem Geeks. You know, for decentralization or in the world of blockchain, it's not supposed to be a competition. Everybody's attempting. Steem is an experiment overall. Can it have said to have failed when indeed it was an experiment? It's still an ongoing experiment. So has it failed? According to me, no. From the moment I stepped foot on it, that's evidence of success, because I found it organically in the search engines, looking for a niche or a social space on the internet that's different from all that has existed, and I found Steem organically. The second time is when I joined, so I found it 2 times. The word Steem made stuck. That's a win, and I've met you. I've met so many people. I'm here doing this video, evidence that Steem has succeeded. Hive is evidence that Steem has succeeded. Hive. So it's either you create something that has its own vision or dream and adds more to decentralization, the collective decentralization. All blockchain attempts are working towards that. There's no need for, you know, trampling on each other. Nothing wrong with Steem and EOS, and you know, nothing wrong with it. Now, I will not say much more. I'll stop the video here. Make sure to stay awesome. I'm your boy Terry.